So I really wasn't planning on coming out here tonight. I'm actually in my slippers, but I figured I'm running out of time. I need to work on this thing. So right now I'm going to be working on fiddling with the exhaust pipes because I need to get these pipes finished. I need to weld in the O2 bung, and then I also need to figure out what I'm going to do with the wastegates. A couple of you have mentioned, you know, merging these into this pipe, which I probably am going to do because I don't want them to just dump. I think if I come up with these, come up and bring it in line with the header sort of, and then out, that would make this really easy to go into it. The angle of these is a little bit different from side to side, but not much. But yeah, I've got to get an O2 sensor bung welded in for the terminator, and then it doesn't use it because I'm carbureted, but I like to have the data on the display so I can help. It helps tune it. So yeah, I was just out here kind of fiddling. I wasn't going to film anything, but I figured I got to keep you guys in the loop. So that's what we're doing. I don't know how much I'll get done tonight, but we'll work on it for a little bit and then just kind of keep going as we go. Keep going as we go. Keep on trucking. But yeah, so I'm going to put the camera on the tripod and start fiddling with this, figuring out what I need to do. All right, there, I'm done. I don't know how well you can see this, but I actually ended up having to take and coming out this way just a little bit and then up, because if I came straight out it actually hit the header. So now I got it really nice and super tight. But yeah, it comes out and then up and then back out. See if I can, don't mind that weld right there. But so yeah, I'm just using U-bends. So what I'm using is just some 3-inch mild steel J-bends, I guess you would call it, U-bends, whatever you want to use. And I'm just chopping it up and using it as I need for whatever angles that I need. If you guys have never built an exhaust with just using U-bends like this, because maybe you think it's like really complicated to figure out the angles and all that stuff, I'll kind of show you how I do it. And it is actually really simple and lets you create, you know, kind of custom exhausts and stuff where maybe, you know, a pre-made bend or something doesn't really work for you. So I'll kind of show you guys how I do it. Having a bandsaw definitely helps with this when you're doing tube work, because it just makes it a lot easier to get a straighter cut around the tube. Whereas a cutoff wheel, you can mess it up really quick. So this is just a Harbor Freight cheap bandsaw. It's not perfect, but it does everything that I need it to do. So you can set up this table to have like a tabletop bandsaw, 2 screws that comes off, and you can like a horizontal bandsaw with it as well. And basically all I do is take the U-bend and I start with cutting. So this one's got extra length on it. Most U-bends are like this, equal length, but this is a J-bend. Basically what I do to start with is pretty much all the stuff that you're gonna do, you're gonna be able to do with either 45s or 90s. So basically what I do is I divide this up into either 90s or 45s. So this is some of the aluminum pipe that I have left. And so basically all I'll do is I'll cut this straight piece off, cut this straight piece off so that it's a 180. And then I cut that in half, that's 2 90s. And then I cut those in half, and then I have 4 45s. And you can almost accomplish everything with either a 90 or a 45. So like, say you need to go around something and then back up, like, or you can take 2 45s, kind of like what I did over there, and go one direction with the first one and then the other direction with the next one. So very rarely have I ever needed to cut like a 30 degree or something like that. Most of the time you can get it with just 45s and 90s. And then if you need to, you can cut this down even further. So you could cut this into like, you cut this down in half, and then that's how I ended up with those little tiny pie cuts right here. Is that's basically a 45 cut in half. So it's a 22.5 degree corner or bend or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, if you just take the half rule, so once you have your 180, you can leave these on if you need them, obviously, but I basically cut this in half, cut that in half, cut that in half, and then you can pretty much go from there. But that's what I do. I just pretty much cut them into 2 90s, and then if I need smaller, I'll do 45s. Hopefully that's not too confusing. I'll kind of show you as I go on this next pipe when I do it. I need a new blade. Now I eyeball most of my cuts. But until you get, I mean, check that out. For eyeballing it, they're off a little bit, but they're pretty close to the same size. But see, now you can kind of see what I'm saying is you can clock these and kind of create, you know, S bends and stuff like that with just 45s. But it's also really critical that when you're cutting these, that you cut across into the center. You know, think of like the inside of this as a circle, and you gotta cut towards the center. Because if you cut, obviously right here, it's no longer gonna be a circle, it's gonna be a big oval. So you always have to be cutting towards the center and square. So now I got my 245s that I need to do the other side. And I still got a 90 here if I need to. I can cut this off or leave this. I'm gonna leave it for now because I might need a 90 with an extension on it. All right, so on this side, I didn't need to do any kind of whoop-de-doos. So I didn't really need to cut those into 45s. I just needed a 90. But since I cut them into 45s for demonstrational purposes, I get to weld it back together and make a 90 out of it, which is okay because I can use the practice. But there you can see, just goes up in a 90 to another 90, and then from here we're gonna come out the fender over to here. I still got to cut the hole here. I gotta go get a hole saw because I no longer have the one that I used on that side, so I gotta go buy another one and get this hole cut. So I want to get that done and everything finished up. I got to get some more material too so that I can finish this all up. So this is just taped right now. I'm gonna wait and keep everything tacked until it's right where I want it and fully weld it. I don't know if you can see, but that one over there is kind of on a goofy angle. So I got to cut the tack off of that one and bring it down. It's kind of going upwards. So get that taken care of, get this hole cut, pick up some more material. I think I need one more of these bends, and then I also need to get the material, the 1 3/4 pipe for the wastegates, and then these will just come from here and go right into there, and then that way they just merge and dump together. I didn't know it was going to rain today, but apparently there's a flash flood warning. Still 97 degrees outside. I was just getting ready to set the camera up out there, so I get this thing fired up. I've still got a few things to do. I still got to do the wastegate, finish up over there, finish weld everything, but I just cannot wait. I want to fire this thing up. I want to hear it. All right, guys, we're going to try and start this thing. Check for leaks one more time. All right, here we go. Well, it runs. Hell yeah. Well, there's no oil or ATF or anything spewing out underneath it, so that's a win. And everything seems to be pretty good. Had good oil pressure, no leaks. It's running a little rough. I think the spark plugs need to be changed in it. They're the same ones that were in it before. Pretty sure I got the wires on right. But it was super rich too. It was idling it like, I mean, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe you guys can help me out. When you're running E85, does the O2 sensor read the same as with gasoline? Because it was idling at like 9:1 on the air fuel ratio gauge. So I don't know if you have to compensate or whatever for E85, but yeah, it was super rich. But I am going to say that the E85, I can't even say it now. E85. E85? The E85 smells a lot better than gasoline. Like, it's not burning my eyes. But I also didn't run it for very long. Okay, so a couple things that I didn't really think of when I was planning on doing this exhaust. And I just wanted to reuse the hole in that fender and make both sides match. But I did not account for how close this was going to get to the firewall. As you can see, I had to remove this brake line because it was in the way. And I don't know if you can really tell, but right there is the hole in the firewall where all my wiring went through. So I had to move that. So now I've got to remake this brake line, and I've got to rewire the front lights. So, you know, you do one thing and it changes 10 others. So this is the old brake line, and as you can see, it went back here like this, but it don't fit anymore. So I think for the time being, just to get it ready, all I'm going to do is flip it around and put it on like this, which is kind of hard to hold. So it's going to go around, down and around it that way instead of back. But these are two different size fittings, so I've got to cut and reflare both ends of these and swap fittings from end to end. And as far as the wiring, that I'm gonna have to think about. All right, so I'm super stoked that we got the thing running. That's a lot of weight off my shoulders. So I've spent some time. I had to move this brake line before it went this way, and all I did was basically 180'd the line. And so now it goes down and around the pipe. Now ideally with these wastegate tubes here, you really want like a flex coupler, or I think they call them bellows, you know, something that's flexible right here. It helps keep them from cracking. Plus it also makes it easier to hook up this V-band and that V-band at the same time. But due to time restraints, and I want to get this done this weekend, this is where we're gonna go with for now. I can always come back once I have an actual flex coupler and then just cut it out, weld it in, basically just in piece of this straight pipe right here. As you can see, I've got this all mocked up, tacked up, and ready to go. All I've got to do is fully finish weld this thing out, which I'm gonna stay up late, try and knock this out. So I think I'm gonna end the video here. Like I said, I'm gonna go through and get all this welded up tonight, try and get this video edited up probably tomorrow morning, get it posted. And then hopefully the next video, we're at the track testing. Next Saturday, there is test and tune at Wild Horse Pass. And if everything goes well and there's no huge problems with the transmission or anything, I'd like to take this there and do some testing before we go to Tucson the weekend after. But all right guys, I'm gonna get this thing welded up and I'll see you guys on the next one.